Boobs. Boobs. Big boobs. Big ball bouncing off your boobs. Off your big manly man boobs. Cyriel. Just onto the chest. Take it in the chest and just let it drop. It just bounces subtly. And it drops. It's not a clip. It's not a dink. It's a clip dink. It's a dinky clip. Just cutting it. Just over. Just over. Not even over. Not even lifting it. Just keeping the air that's already in it. So it goes over Carson's dropping leg. He can jump, he can extend, but it's no. Lord Carson has been saying no all night. But it's home. The ball's home. No more home rule. The away team's won. And yet, what felt like 15 hours before that, Butland's boobs. Butland, the ball bounces onto his boobs. Puts his hands out to catch. But the ball bounces off his boobs. And it comes in and it's ball's bouncing off boobs at the Bob Shankly. And it's in the back of the net and we're 2-0 down again. And it's sunshine and it's daylight. But in the dark, it's Desser's, his boob, lets it drop. And Alan McLaren, do you have a thing, Alan McLaren? Do you have a thing? You want to do this? I mean, you must do this. If you talk to, like a brain, a literal brainiac, somebody who knows about brains, somebody who's really into or psychology, or more just the way the brain works, I would imagine. Because I don't know the technical terms of what's going on here, but it must be a thing that we all do when you have you attach a mental image to feelings, to ideas of comfort, to like when you think about having a great job. You're having a terrible time in your job, and you think, oh, when was I satisfied in my career? When was I? And it's a mood you're actually trying to conjure up, but there will be a kind of mental image that goes along with it. Like there was a job you were in, and you'll think about yourself, in your van or sitting in your desk or whatever it was you're doing that job. You're like, I like that job. And you have a picture of yourself, and it might not be something that even really happened in real life, but it's all associate pictures of the place that you did work when you were happy, or what the weather was like the day you were really happy in a particular job, and it'll just be like, oh, it's got this mental image, and you don't even know that you've conjured up that mental image. Like when was I happy in see you're unhappy in your relationship, when was it, maybe I'm going to have to get another partner, but was I ever really happy with anybody in a kind of romantic relationship? And you'll get a picture of the person, and you'll get a picture of a day you were together. When you were maybe in a picnic or something. It's always a picnic, isn't it? Even though you never went on a picnic. But you get this idea he's walking along it's never like you're in the middle of doing the deeds or anything like that, or, your wedding day or something. The days we're supposed to be fantastically happy. It's always like an incidental thing, but that was the moment, just quietly. It was quite kind of low-key, but I just hit you. God, I'm happy. I'm really happy. The same with your job. It wasn't like you were getting the job, or you were getting a pay rise or something like that. It wasn't the things that made you happy in that job. It was just a wee day where everything was going kind of. It's a wee moment in time that you just click. It's like Plato's forms. You go into Morrison's and they've got when you got through the wee turnstile bit. The wee automatic gates things that you walk through. And you just get right past the fruit. They're not going to try to con you with the fruit. So that. You get right past that and you get to the real stuff that you need to buy. And it's the McGee's. They've got the McGee's, the 4 tarts. The McGee's, I've got the tarts. It's a pineapple cake and the strawberry thing, the raspberry cake, whatever it is, and you get your fern cake, and there's the other one, the cherry bakewell, and on the packet on the front, and they've got the wee kind of bit that's telling you what it is you're buying. They've got this wee diagram of the 4 cakes. It's beautiful. It's like graphic design. It's just 4 wee circles like you're looking down on them. If you're my height, you're looking down on the tarts that are all piled up, and then it's got a wee drawing of what you're looking down upon. And it's like a carder that they put on the Italian Cup winners, the Coppa Italia winners, and it, like, used to, when they won the Cup Winners' Cup, when Sampdoria won it in 1990, beating Anderlecht in the final, and Gothenburg and Gianluca Vialli get 2 goals, which was nice because Sampdoria had lost the final the previous season against Barcelona. It's like a reversal of the usual run in the Cup Winners' Cup. I think it's 11 times or something like that, maybe just 8 times. I always exaggerate it when the winner of the Cup Winners' Cup had lost the following season's final. It was never retained, the Cup Winners' Cup, but a lot of teams would get to the final the following season and lose it. It was a kind of curse, But it was nice. But they've got the card, and it took me ages. It's like a wee target. It looks like the RAF insignia on the side of a Spitfire, but obviously it's got green, white, with a circle. And then, well, it's the cake, the tart's like, because the cherry bakewell's got the red cherry on it, and the white of the icing round about that, and then round about that they've got the crust. The kind of pastry that it's held on. You look down it, but that's an idealised version. It's an idealised version. That's like Plato's forms, no platonic love, but that actually extends to folk think, well, platonic love's it's different because it's no romantic love or it's no sexual love anyway. So that's why it's called platonic, but it's been lost in time. The actual meaning it's Plato's idea of the perfect love. It's supposed to be something even better, than a love you would have with your partner. It's the same for like they say. You think of a tree. Somebody says to you a tree. And you've got to conjure up an image of a tree. Well, everybody will conjure up a different image, but there will be an image in your head of a tree. It's like for you it might be a fern tree, a pine tree, an oak tree, a yew tree, whatever. Maybe just one particular type of tree. For some folk, it might just be like a green triangle with a brown stick underneath it, like they're drawing it like a child. But you just get an idea in your head of a tree. But where are we taking that from? Because we've seen trees in real life and what have you. But if we're in the house and you can't see out any windows and somebody says something about a tree, you think of a tree without realising it. You picture it in your head without realising it. And that's Plato's forms, because there's this idealised, there is out there somewhere in the metaphysical world an idea of a tree that everybody kind of goes to, even though they conjure up their own. But it's a bit different for that. It's Alan McLaren. When I think of when was I happy, when did I feel safe with Rangers domestically? When was it just we're going to win, we're going to do what's going to be done to win the league? We're just going to get through this. It's going to be, might not be spectacular, but it'll get done. I think about Alan McLaren, and I don't think about Alan. I don't think about. I get his. I've worked it out. I've come to terms with it this week. Just thinking about this game today. It's Alan McLaren. I get his picture in my head. He's my Plato's form of Rangers domestically. And why? Because somebody says to you, who's your favourite Rangers players? It's Richard Gough, Mark Hateley, John Brown, Davy Cooper, and Brian Laudrup and Paul Gascoigne. Fantastic Rangers, probably the best Rangers players, maybe. Natural skill terms, if there's such a thing as skill that's totally natural. But these are the greatest guys that have. But Ali McCoist, John Gregg, these are the great Rangers that I have seen playing. These are the greatest guys, my actual heroes. Andy Gorham and Alan McGregor, Stephen Closs. I love these guys. Davy Weir, even somebody wasn't that long, whatever, but it was just in the middle. Barry Ferguson, a phenomenal player for Rangers, phenomenal player for Rangers. I don't think about Alan McLaren when somebody says, right, Alex, sit down and tell me who's the greatest Rangers players you've ever seen. But somebody just says to me, God, it'd just be nice just to, Rangers go into league games and you feel kind of like they're going to beat who they should beat. And they'll eventually be able, if they keep it going into the following season, they'll probably be able to win the league again. It's Alan McLaren. I just realised today, that's the fleeting image. That's the Plato's form I get in my head. And I think for me, I'm obsessed with European football. That's why I fall out with folk. That's the probably biggest thing, the biggest reason I have for falling out with people about managers, about Rangers managers, about Philippe Clement. If he's getting us through European group stages the way he got us through this one, this season, if he's winning the first time we've ever beaten Spanish opposition in Spain, I will defend Clement. It will take a lot for me. That's why when we get beat off Queen's Park in the Scottish Cup, I was just stood outside Ibrox going, that's a sacking offence, that's a sacking offence. I wasn't saying, let's sack Clement. I was just saying, yeah, that's a sacking offence. If somebody wants to sack him, I can't argue with that, because it was the first time I was really like, yeah, that's enough to eradicate everything he's done in European terms for us, because I'm obsessed with Rangers doing well in Europe, because I feel as if that's the big boys' playground, and we dominate in Scotland so much, or we should dominate in Scotland so much because of the size of our support and blah blah blah. I'm always like, if a guy's doing well for us in Europe, a manager's doing well, that's what's all about. Because I hated it when Rangers didn't do well in Europe, because I always say, you know, it doesn't matter what you do in Scotland, the rest of Europe doesn't care. It's all about what you do in Europe that the rest of Europe cares about, and that's what I want Rangers to be. I want us to be bigger than Scotland. I know you've got to do well domestically. But the whole point is, Alan McLaren joined us the season after. 92-93, that was, you know, idyllic for me. We won the treble, and we're a goal away from the Champions League final. 44 games unbeaten in that season. It's the following season that Alan McLaren joins us, when it starts to be Europe shit. We're shit in Europe. And Alan McLaren joined us, his first game, it was 94. We beat Celtic. The Celtic were playing at Hampden. Hampden was their home ground, remind you anything? And we beat them 3-1. We beat them 3-1 away from home. Rangers were away to Celtic. We beat them 3-1. Alan McLaren plays. That's his debut for Rangers. He's always played great against us when he's playing for Hearts. A bit like John Souttar, I think. And then he scores. He's the captain the night we seal 9 in a row. Because it quickly, after 93, when it looked like we could win everything, and nearly did, it was just about, we've got to get 9 in a row done. It became more and more of a grind, and it worked away at our ability to win in Europe, and we're just awful in Europe. It got a bit embarrassing at times, you know. And but we got 9 in a row, and Alan McLaren was the captain. Because obviously everybody remembers Richard Gough lifting the trophy, but he's lifting it in a suit because he wasn't playing. Richard Gough was injured, was suspended, but he was injured, I'd imagine. Big Richard lifting it in tears. Alan McLaren was actually captain that night at Tannadice, the city of Dundee. And I don't think that's what it is, because it was just like purely domestic glory, but it's also the way he was kind of heavy set. I think that's why I've got a grudging admiration for Carter Vickers at Celtic, and you'll notice what that's done. The time I actually admitted on this podcast that I had a grudging admiration for Carter Vickers, because he's an opponent, he's the place for our arch rivals, so your respect for my admiration of the guy has to be grudging. That's the law. And I thought that's because he's the guy, because anytime Celtic kind of had the whip hand over us recently, or before the last couple of Old Firm games, the last 3 Old Firm games perhaps, coming into this season, Celtic had the whip hand over us, and Carter Vickers was always, any time Rangers looked like they were going to do something in a game, he was always in there making the right tackles and that, but also he's kind of heavy set as well, you know, a bit like Alan McLaren, you know, like myself, a bit of a dude when it comes to the drinking and it comes to the eating and whatever, but people to go out there and just do, it's a kind of domestic thing, you know, you're super duper fancy continental types that are going. I know everybody. I know it's all foreigners. The leagues are all polyglot now. There's no multinational nationalities in all leagues in Europe. But it's Alan McLaren just was the kind of guy who's so Scottish. Obviously loved a bevy. You know, a team that drinks together, wins together. I understand all that. That's my era. No, I think he's a couple of years younger than me, Alan McLaren. He had to pack it in at 27. Like he stopped playing after 9 in a row shortly after it. I had to pack it in. He had his testimonial against Middlesbrough and all that. I think he was only 27 when he had to jack it in because of injuries. He's always getting injured. But he wasn't even like the kind of Ledley King or Paul McGrath type, you know, players that I love as well. I know Paul McGrath plays for Republic of Ireland, and he used to, you know, take charge of the Celtic bus that went for Old Trafford when Man U won the playing us an Old Firm game on, and, you know, number of Whiteside of the Rangers bus. I know, so I'm supposed to hate Paul McGrath as well. What a player, though. What a player. I just loved centre halves that could just loved playing under siege, but just, you know, batter stuff away and all that. But you notice it's since I've said I admire Carter Vickers, the last couple of games against us, he was made to look a bit of a fanny. I need to. I can't mean it. I can't do it on purpose. My ability to curse folk by giving them any kind of admiration at all, by saying, oh, he'll be good, or Clement will be good. I'll beat off Queen's Park, worst defeat at home in 150 years in the Scottish Cup. He's away. So I've backed Carter Vickers. I genuinely meant it. I think he's actually a good player, Carter Vickers, and he's been all at sea the last couple of games against us. It's funny. I've got this, but it's no Al McLaren was Ledley King or Paul McGrath. They couldn't play enough because of injuries. But when they did play, they were majestic. They were the best players in the team. Al McLaren wasn't the best player at Rangers. He wasn't the best defender. He probably had games where he was the best defender, but he would muck in. He was an absolute trooper. And I think the heaviness of him just made him look embattled more than, you know, I don't know, something like Richard Gough, who's just never had an ounce of fat on him in his entire career, and has maintained that into his post-playing career, which makes him look scarily thin. Richard Goffey's like chiselled at 90 years old. Alan McLaren just like the second he stopped playing, put a stone on. No, I admire that kind of thing. I respect that. But he was just the guy. He was at the centre of it. He was the kind of middle of the road. It's almost like the weakest link. He wasn't the worst player in that Rangers. Obviously, there lots of kind of bit part players. Al McLaren was never a bit part player. You wouldn't say he was the weakest link, but it was just when it all gets down to it, Al McLaren's in there, and he's good. You know, he's just big. Do centre half stuff, no bother. He'll just put. He'll knock it away. He'll repel the ball. He knows how the game goes. He's street smarts. He was savvy. Shit like the night wouldn't have happened, but it did happen. It did happen in the days as well. You know, Celtic and Rangers have moved on since even Rangers 9 in a row, to the point where they've almost got to win every game to win the league. And it wasn't like that back then. We could win the league while losing. You know, it felt like half our games. It got to around about 94, 95. It felt as if we lost about half our games in the league, but we still won it at a canter. But Alan McLaren is just the guy that I that comfort, that kind of. You know, it's kind of mental, fleeting mental image of just safety. How you doing, folks? This is your Fat Egg. Rangers have This is your Fat Egg post. Rangers have just won their 5th consecutive away game in the league. Was that no a problem for us? We couldn't win on the road domestically, and we've just done it 5 in a row. So why is anybody, in any way worried or concerned about the way we've been playing? Well, it's probably because I've lost count of how many games we've conceded 2 goals at least. And in focusing, this was a wild game tonight. It was absolutely, and it was a bit extra wild, but it's actually the Motherwell game at Ibrox, Barry's second game in charge, that was the complete outlier. That remains the complete outlier, because we conceded 2 goals in that as well. We just keep conceding 2 goals a game, except against Fenerbahce in Istanbul. We go over there and we win 3-1. That's the game we conceded. Against Motherwell, we get beat 2. We went 2-0 down, but we pulled a goal back. We only get beat 2-1, or we conceded 2 goals but didn't win. Because even when we get beat 2-0 off Fenerbahce at Ibrox, we won on the night. We won the penalty shootout, and it was absolutely. So it's actually, I think the Motherwell game's the strangest game of Barry's. What is that? Half a dozen games he's been in charge. We got all 3 points tonight, and we've continued what is now becoming an amazing run of form away from home. Yet we've lost our last 4 games at home for the first time in our history. We've done that, but we've conceded more than 2 goals in a game for 5 consecutive league games now, and that's the first time that's happened for almost 40 years. I don't really know what's going on in general, but tonight was a massive, big dollop example of it. Reaction Pod coming to you in association with Gersnet. Check out Gersnet. I think it's going to be Rob and Alan on tomorrow night in the preview pod, so they've got quite a lot to go through just in dealing with this game, never mind everything else that's been happening at Ibrox. And it was Brian and Ross that were on last night, Friday night. I've checked that out. It's still up there on the Gersnet. The Friday night, the preview pod of the Dundee game, but at the start of that, the boys were both in good form, and they were dealing with the banner nonsense and the fallout from that, and I thought they were really good the way they sorted that out. Ross was really, he get ripped into that, and I thought it was a really good podcast by them. Apparently there was a massive tifo in the full length and height of the Bob Shankly stand tonight at Dens Park that just said Rangers fans hate absolutely everybody who isn't a white Protestant heterosexual male. And up in the main stand, the main stand we had, it's just the whole game that was being held up, that tifo. Not just the Union Bears or the Rangers Riot Squad, who've apparently become a thing now as we look for excuses. It was just every Rangers fan that was in that. And up in the main stand, the section of the Rangers support was up in the old main stand at Dens Park. Up there, it's no an Archibald Leitch. It's no an Archibald Leitch. That's just a urban myth. they were all waving swastikas. They had a swastika, like an actual Wehrmacht, kind of Second World War, Nazi Germany, 1933 onwards. They had little swastikas, the red with the white bit with the black swastika thing in the middle, and they were all waving them. They're all waving them for like the full 97 minutes in the game, and there was 15 people from Fair, representatives of Fair, in the director's box, and there was another 20 representatives of UEFA in the director's box, and they never noticed. They never noticed, because every time they went to turn around and see what was it, they just like, look at that defending. Is he missed again? Is that the same guy? Is that the same guy? Swastika's way to talk about. No, I just seen this guy here. He's been through on goal 28,000 times, and he keeps hitting it straight at the goalkeeper. How is he? Has he scored the fucking winner? What is going on here? They never noticed. Never noticed. It's absolutely fine. No politics this time. Everybody's just watching the football. I am sponsored by Gersnet, and I'm also sponsored by Jury Duty. Jury Duty. You thought I was going to say I'm sponsored by the clocks going forward. No, it's Jury Duty, because I got the thing through the post. And jury. It's the third time in 10 years I'm after it. I get after it. I keep getting after it. I went in 10 years ago. I had to go into the court, the sheriff court in Glasgow, and it went down to, it was like a penalty shootout, and I don't want jury duty. It's no, I wish I had the time. There's all stuff I've got to, like this stuff, there's all stuff I've got to do. That's why I did the 2-hour pod the other night, because I thought I better give the troops enough to be getting on me, because I might not be available, because all knock-on effect of it, if I've got to do the jury duty, means I can't do other stuff, and I've not got time to do this the way I would like to. So I was like, I was quite interested. It'd be nice to sit in a trial, maybe if it was something nice and juicy, you could, but no too depressing, you could get into it and really enjoy it and all that. But I just didn't have the time, and I got after that, went right down to the selection. Your name's getting pulled out of a hat, 12 names, whatever like that, and I wasn't one of them. And it was like winning a penalty shootout or something. I was like, that's me, I'm OFFSIDE. Then it happened again. It's like you did that thing. It was during COVID when we're on. My wife's using the motor to get to her work during the day, but it was going to be at Braehead because of the COVID, the lockdown stuff. Needed to use an arena. I think the Braehead Arena was turned into the Sheriff Court, or the High Court was getting moved to Braehead. And the buses and all the trains, and it was going to be absolute murder. So every day I'm phoning up. I think I'll have to leave the house at 6 o'clock in the morning to get. And I was phoning up the number that you phoned, but I kept getting it. It's like, no, you don't have to come in today. You don't have to come in. You've got to do it for a week. So I was doing that all last week, but I got off it, and I Friday, and it was like, yes, you clear for me. I get off it again. So that's just, I'm sponsored by Jury Duty. If I'm going to get a sponsor, I should be doing that thing. It's the only reason the camera's out of sync, the graphics are non-existent. My voice starts, my mouth doesn't move at the same time as my voice as the pod goes on. If the pod's far too long, it's the only reason that it sounds decent. You can actually hear what I'm saying is because Frankie Gersnet got me. That's why I'm sponsored by Gersnet. Frankie got me these microphones. These mics. So I was doing that thing. I was speaking out through the week. It's chaos. It's been chaos tonight, so I'm doing a chaotic kind of pod here, because usually they're so smooth, aren't they? But I just doing the thing where I was putting headphones into the microphone bit and speaking into the headphones, and just feedback and reverb and all that stuff. It was absolute murder. And Frankie's going, "Oh, this is just, for Christ's sake, do us all a favour." And he got me these microphones. So what I should do, I wouldn't know if I got sponsors. I wouldn't know how to spend the money. I wouldn't get stuff. Somebody just needs to send me a camera or whatever it is that he gets, and a decent microphone. Somebody just needs to send me the gear, and you'll be sponsored by me for life. But that's not what I want. I actually would like somebody to send me nasal hair clippers. David Baddiel talking about that. That's a sick thing about old age. You lose the hair off your head, but it doesn't just fall off your head. It comes down through your nose and out your ears as well. It's absolute murder. Nothing up here, but it's all. I've suddenly grown this forest, the Cure, a forest. That's what I hear. Robert Smith. Every time I'm trying to kind of get myself together for the fat and all that, and the specs. That's nothing I can really do. I can do a lot with the fat, but I don't choose not to. But it's like a forest up there, and it's the other day I started getting hay fever. That's another thing that's happened to me in middle age. Thanks a lot, life, nature. Starting to get hay fever. I'm like, why am I'm just getting over that 100-day cough thing, and I'm still feeling a bit kind of, what the hell's going on here? And it's dawned on me, it's right. I get it right. It's the start of spring. The old hay fever hits me. The missus also had it. I'm sure I caught it off her. It was never a problem for me before. So there's these things that you get the wee nasal sprays where you can, there's this kind of allergy thing that they're quite good. It's the closest I'll ever come to doing proper drugs as well. You just feel you've done a line of cocaine, because I haven't actually ever done a line of cocaine. It makes you feel quite street, Don't push me 'cause I'm close to the edge. I'm trying to get this stuff through the hedge that's in my fucking nose. So I was like, thinking, all right, that feels a lot better. And then I'm downstairs and I just happened to check, because you get to my kind of age and state, you don't really check yourself out in the mirrors too much, but I just happened to check in the mirror that's just at the front door before I went out, and it was like Tony Montana, on a good day. I was just, what the hell? It hadn't. I know it sounds clatty folk talking about their nose and that, but wasn't it? It hadn't go up in amongst. It wasn't snotty or anything like that. It was just white, just big balls of white in each nose. Things folk will think I'm doing coke and I can't even date properly, and I'll think I'm a total criminal. And I could have went to court. I could have went out the jury duty, went into the court, and I've got two big white things under. Excuse me, sir. Just like to come over here. No, I mean, it's just, it's an allergy. I needed to take the nasal pasty, so I need to do something about these nasal hairs. I can't get scissors up there, whatever. And I've tried the wee things that you buy. It doesn't work. So if anybody wants to sponsor me, I'm sponsored by somebody who makes really good nasal hair clippers. Sorry, folks. My name's Alec Anderson. It's just the thought of you, and I forget to do the little ordinary things that everyone ought to do. I'm living in a kind of daydream. I'm happy as a king, and foolish though it may seem, to me you're everything. The mere idea of you, the longing here for you. You'll never know how slow the moments go till I'm near to you. I must be talking about Rangers and domestic games like we had tonight. Their heads so full of Europe, they can win but by playing a bit shite, and I'm alright with that. I don't mind feeling like a bit of a prat. I don't mind going 2 goals behind to Dundee, Kilmarnock, Celtic and Scottish shite like that. As long as we keep it up in Europe and win the Europa League, I won't mind looking like a dope. As soon as we lift the trophy in Bilbao, I collapse with domestic fatigue. The mere idea of you, I think I'm just, sorry, folks. It's just, I'm Alec Anderson. I'm talking to you after Rangers won tonight's SPFL Premiership match at Dens Park by a single goal. Let's just put it that way. Won it by a single goal. Cyriel Chats was on 22 goals going into tonight's game. He scored 22 goals last season, so it's only, only coming into the beginning of April, really, and he's already on 22 goals. His same tally as last season. He's on his 100th game for Rangers tonight, and he scored the winner. So that's all there is to say. That's all she wrote. If she is blind and only saw 30 seconds of the game, you got to admit, sometimes you just got to sit back. You just got to go, what a fantastic advert for Scottish football. Have you fuck? Because Scottish football absolutely hates us, the rest of it. Anyway, I mean, obviously, Scottish football in general needs us, but maybe somebody who's never really watched Scottish football before, their wife or their husband or whatever, something is going out tonight, and they're on their own in the house, and they're just a bit bored. They thought, I usually watch, a soap opera. I usually watch a movie. I'm just on my own. I'm going to have a wee surf through the channels, and I've got the Sky for golf or tennis or whatever it is they usually watch. And I think it's Scottish football. I've never watched a single Scottish football match my whole life, and it's just coming on tea time on a Saturday night. That's fine. This will just keep me company. A wee bit of interest for me. And they sit and they go, this is absolute mayhem. This is exciting. Maybe the two people in the world, there's no such thing as a neutral when it comes to Scottish football. Everybody either hates Rangers or loves Rangers. So I don't really care about him being entertained by that. That was messy, and we got there in the end. That's the only thing we can really say. We're going to say a lot more about it. Obviously, I'm not going to get. It's half an hour in here, and I still haven't got to the point to talk about the game. I'm going to talk about the game. I'm going to go into the game in some detail. But I feel as if I should really, fifth straight away, league win, as I say. Last night, I went to B&Q to get the hood above the the hob. It's got to be like, I love the wee lights above the hood above the hob. I was like, especially at the weekend, you maybe get some drinks sorted out on the wee island thing, and you've got just the lights above you switch off. You're through in the living room having a wee drink, and then you're coming in, to top it up every now and then if you're having wine or something, like, feeling a bit classy, red or white. And you go into the kitchen, but you've just got the hood lights on. You've not got any of the other lights on. It's nice low light, it's mood lighting. The hood lights have been. We moved in this house 3 years ago, and they all went out this week. I don't know who the folk that were in here before. If I meet them again, I'm just going to say to them, "Where'd you get your bulbs?" Because the bulbs have been fit. Nothing's gone out until this week. All the hood lights. They've just come up for the 3-year anniversary. Moved into the house. All the lights, the bulbs, not have the same. So to go to B&Q, to try and get the wee lights, the wee bulbs to replace them. Last night, and I was just I thought I'll nip into Morrison's to get my stuff for the weekend. Anyway, back to Morrison's at Anniesland. And I'm just pulling into the car park, and I'm listening to. I'm like, there's a few traffic jams. The traffic's busy at that time of night, and it's kind of back of 6. And I'm just going through the channels on BBC Radio 6 Music, and it's Steve Lamacq. Steve Lamacq. God, he was in the go when I was young. There he's still in the go. This is interesting, and they're talking about, just talking about the scene back in the day and all that. But Steve Lamacq thinks he's talking about his career. There's 2 DJs involved. It's no Steve Lamacq show, but he's talking to this other DJ. I think that's fine. I've been going through the channels trying to find something. That's all day fine, but it's Radio 6 Music. And I'm just pulling in. And all I've got in mind is I'm going to get chicken. I usually have chicken on a Saturday, but I can't because the game's starting at 5:30. I know that's going to really ruin the chill out vibe. I'm going to have to leave the chicken to Sunday. So can I get away getting chicken wings tonight? And I can have, I end up having a wee kind of beef joint thing today. Just before the game kicked off. But I was thinking, what, I just Steve Lamacq when he's talking. There's this band on. I'm thinking, that's that. Hey ho, that sounds just like Kings of Leon. The Kings of Leon, who were crap when I was young. I was younger. They were really. They were one of the first bands that made me realise I was getting really old. Kings of Leon. I was like being real. Who's these Ponces? That kind of. It's terrible, just when you realise you're getting an old man. This is about 20 years ago, whatever Kings of Leon were out. And it turned out, it was this group called The National, so I had no idea. I think they're still, maybe The National have split up, maybe they're on their 50s, I don't know, but they're a young thing to me. The National, it's one of these, the 1975 or something. Is that what a group like that called? Interpol. I've actually seen Interpol, but that was an accident. So they met Carling Academy. That was an accident. But and Stephen Lamacq starts telling the story after they finished their not Sex Is On Fire song, The National. It goes back to Steve Lamacq. Yeah, actually one night I did a night with The National. I was presenting them, and there was an audience there, and there was a kind of Q&A afterwards. And I knew The National, it's BBC Radio 6 Music, I knew that the National, from the States, but they're actually mad soccer fans. They kept saying soccer. I'm like, the British Broadcasting Corporation here, Steve, tone it down. I know they're American, but he's getting into the vibe that they were American. And I knew actually 2 of the guys in the band are soccer crazy, which is a bit untypical for a minute. And I thought, well, I think Cuomo of the Weezer, I don't know, talk to it. But anyway, what I did at the end of the conference, sitting down, was kind of a Q&A with the audience, and I'm sitting down with the 2 guys for the National, and I asked them to read out the classified football results. And I thought, it's quite good. And but they just didn't get it at all. They kept saying, Chelsea have beaten Bournemouth by 2-1. Oh, and it looks like Tottenham had a good draw away to Liverpool. And it's like, no, I said, look, guys, that is not how you read out the classified results. That's not. And I had to go. It's showing them what it's done. And I just thought, have you fucking learnt nothing, Steve? Have you learnt nothing? What did you get that? I tried my whole life not to do this, and I was doing it to Steve Lamacq via the radio in my motor just before I went shopping. Maybe I was just hangry. I don't know. Maybe I was just hangry. That thing I grew up with, that kind of OTT, ostentatious incredulity. It's a kind of triumphant incredulity. I don't know if it's a Scottish thing or just a stupid person thing, or all countries have got stupid folk. We just go, what? And you've usually got the answer. The person doing the what is like, what are you talking about? I think you'll find that was actually last week or something. Whatever the subject is. I remember being at a game at Livingston, and somebody come on as a sub for who's the guy we signed for Leicester on loan? Was it somebody King? And I said it was Nico Katic, and the guy beside me who hadn't said into me all game just went, what? Did you say Katic? That's King, the guy for Leicester. I'm like, all right, cheers, mate. Aye, thanks. But you could just have said, no, it's actually the guy King for Leicester. But you just folk are waiting for that kind of thing. I was that person, like Steve Lamacq going, what? You tell the National that they weren't doing it right. You tell the National that the way they were reading out the classified football results wasn't authentic. You were telling the National that you just told us that there were soccer. These two guys for the National are soccer crazy, but you're telling them that you're doubting their soccer craziness. England, Britain, the domestic results, is one of the key aspects of authentic soccer fandom. It's the home of the game, Britain, and the National will know that, and they'd be keen to impress. You're telling them that they're not for real when it comes. Do you know this, Steve Lamacq? It's like Richie Edwards. We tell Richie Edwards at the Manics, he just doubted. Are you for real though? How do we know that you're for real? And he went away. And does he want the guy for the National to get a razor blade basically and carve East 55444 down his arm? To prove to him that he's for real. Do you know that story that did with Rich Edwards, Steve Lamacq? That was like 30 odd years ago, man. But it's the kind of thing that Rich Edwards did it so it would stick in your mind. It sticks in my mind, and I wasn't even there. And I remember you tell me about it, Steve Lamacq, him carving the thing into his arm because you tell him they weren't for real. And now you're telling the National 30 odd years later, or however many years it was, that they're not for real. Do you not learn by your mistakes? Do you not learn by your mistakes? That's what I was saying last. That's what I was saying in the radio last. Do you not learn by your mistakes? Conceding 2 goals the fucking game every fucking time. 2 goals down. So tonight you do it twice. You're 2-0 down and 3-1 down, and we still win. I can't be angry because it's actually the pattern by which Rangers are winning games now domestically. We started off that trial under Clement, 2-0 down to St Mirren, and he gets sacked, and then we were 2-0 down to Kilmarnock, and we won 4-2, and that was just Barry transitioning from Clement's ways. They were going 2-0 down early at Rugby Park. We all thought, disaster, should never have appointed Barry as manager. This is a nightmare. And then it was we actually won 4-2, a bit of canter by the end of the game down at Rugby Park there, and that was fine. Then we went 2-0 down to Motherwell. We pulled a goal back, and we had another one rolled out for offside, which I'm not sure about at all in that game at Ibrox. But we get beat 2-1, so it cost us going the 2 goals down. And Celtic we didn't go 2 goals down to Celtic, but Celtic scored 2 goals in a row against us, to come back to 2 each after us being 2-0 up. But we scored the late winner, and we won that game, and we lost the 2 goals obviously to Fenerbahce, 2 goals in the trot. But we'd won 3-1 over in Istanbul, and then tonight we've lost 2 goals. But learn by your mistakes, Steve Lamacq, for real. Just so the team tonight, Cherny was out. So next time your manager is telling you to get out, the Czechia manager is telling you to come off the park, don't go in a bad mood there, Václav. Just get off that park very, very carefully, because you are badly needed. That's a guy who scored for us the last time we played at Dens Park. We didn't want to draw. We didn't want to draw again. We keep drawing at Dens Park. Drew our last 2 games at Dens Park. That's embarrassing. Very sunny at Dens Park. The sponge, while it's pissing down here. I think it's been pissing down in Dundee as well, and it was pissing down while the sun was out in Dens Park. It's been a horrible day here all day in Glasgow. I'm coming to you from right now. But up in Dundee, it looked very sunny, in stark contrast to what was happening outside. Cherny was out, so Hamza Igamane, who commands a sub at Parkhead, you might have noticed he commands a sub at Parkhead. I can't remember what happened after that, but he started the game tonight. Hamza Igamane, who's been away to Africa and back in the last few days, but he started the game the night. It was a bit blustery, the weather as well. Lyle Cameron, obviously the fix is in. Lyle Cameron, is in the stands, just like the guy who scored the win on the 2014 World Cup final at the 2013 Champions League final. The formation, so there were the 3 centre-halves. There were the 3 centre-halves again, so we hadn't really changed it from going to Parkhead or going away to Istanbul or defending our 2-goal lead against Jose Mourinho at Ibrox. The 3 centre-halves thing was still in play, so we'd Dujon Sterling, Leon Balogun and John Shooter as our centre-halves, Jack Butland in goals. Ridvan Yilmaz, although Hefty seems to have resolved his personal issues, I hope that was all resolved to his liking over the international break. He's on the bench tonight, but Ridvan Yilmaz retained his place at left back, and we had Tav, the captain, at right back. And I don't know it's hard to see. I'm watching the telly, and there was folk up there, and I'm glad we got a win for the folk. As talking to Big Phil, guy gets in touch all the time on the pods. He's a bit of a legend, Big Phil. I hear him mentioned the Rangers review as well, so an honour to have him on the Fat Egg pod, but he was up there, and I think he'd been to the last couple of games at Dens. He was up there next, so I'm glad for people like him that take the trouble to go to the games that they eventually got the other night. What a game they got to see. So it's hard to tell when you're watching the telly, so I'm assuming it was the kind of 3-4-1-2. And I think Igaman's supposed to be playing up front with Dessers, but he was coming so deep all the time. I don't know if it was like a kind of 3-5-1-1. I think it was going on there. I don't know what's that, but Connor Barron was there, Nico Raskin and Diamande were all in the middle of the park, and I don't know if Diamande's getting pushed forward into the one, and it's then Dessers and Igaman as the two up front, but maybe it's a 3-4-3-1-1. Does that add up to 11? You know, it seemed like they were all kind of, and like Diamande was behind Igaman and Igaman was behind Dessers. Diamande's supposed to be playing a bit further forward as a creative force. Three at the back, with three players at the back. 100 Rangers games for Dessers. He's on 22 goals. And apparently Simon Murray of Dundee, he was on. He's some kind of record. He was chasing something really miserable. He's wee kind of miserable, embarrassing for us. It would be these records for Dundee. Dundee. I'm trolling them with AC Milan. With AC Milan pennant there, they beat them in the 1963 European Cup semi-final. But was it 5 goals? He was going to be the first Dundee player to score. If he could score tonight, he's going to be the first Dundee player to score in 5 successive SPFL Premiership matches since Kenny Miller in 2018. I think that includes Kenny's goal against us at Dens Park for Dundee. Just one of the many times of late that we've had. Of late, by that I mean the last 10 years, that we've had a terrible time at Dens Park. It's been a bit of a nightmare for us as a venue. Recently, notwithstanding that 5-0 win that Philip Clement had there on his first trip to Dens. But Simon Murray was gone for some stupid wee records. We're taking centre in the national kit, the white, the royal blue shorts, the white socks. It's cool, it's classy. Everything's going to be all right in the sunshine. We take kick off, and within 27 seconds, Raskin kind of control the ball, and they are breaking down our left-hand side. Yilmaz tries to play the ball inside him, can't quite get it. It's a corner to Dundee, and you could see the corner flag. The guy, it was at Robertson, that was taking to keep respotting the ball all the time. It's taking ages to take the corner. I think, but it's all right, we've got the 3 centre halves. It's worked for us. But Simon Murray gets his goal. A minute and 25 seconds on the clock. Simon Murray scores to put Dundee a goal up, because this is what we do away from home against your smaller teams. Apart, we go 2 goals. We'd concede 2 straight goals to everybody. Simon Murray goes in there 1 minute 25, 26 seconds or something like that, and the ball comes in and for the corner, and Balogun goes towards Shaughnessy, who's the kind of centre half and a captain for Dundee. He's got I think he had the armband on anyway, so he's up there as an aerial threat, and he's heading towards the ball, and as he goes up for it, Balogun goes in there behind him, and Shaughnessy gets blocked by Diamande, who's just kind of standing still. Shaughnessy runs into him, and they all kind of concertina into each other, those three, and the ball keeps coming over, and Tav has got goal side of Simon Murray, round about the penalty spot, maybe a bit further out than that, but Tav's going to get blamed for it. I don't know, but Simon Murray clips it. He just makes it. It's a beautiful volley. He's kind of holding Tav off, and the ball's his side. It's goal side of him. It's like the goal, a bit like the goal Fenerbahce scored against us in Istanbul. The guy's hooking the ball from over himself, kind of thing. It goes right in the top corner. It's a cracking finish from Simon Murray. Obviously, a really poor goal to lose from our point of view, but it's early doors. These things, it's volleyed straight into the tap bin, and there's a lot of rain, sun, wind. This maybe a factor. The sun is coming over the home stand. The Bobby Cox stand, maybe getting into the face of the goals and the goalie and their centre half. But Tav's on, Simon Murray can't quite stop him, and in the ball goes. And when it has a goal down within 90 seconds of the game starting, Barry has still to keep a clean sheet as Rangers manager. Dundee started like this at Tannadice last week. Just this total barrage at Dundee last week. They did the ball in the net 5 times in the first half. Not last week, the last time league football was on, the same day we were beating Celtic at Parkhead. And I think it was on Sports Scene. I've actually watched it. I should let Rangers know. I should have told Rangers to watch. I'm being sarcastic. I think 5 minutes in, Dessers goes through. He misses the goal altogether. He goes through. I mean, the centre half's kind of on top of him. Dessers. He got a lovely ball through. I'm assuming it's going from Igamane, because the whole game, the Igamane, 64 minutes, whatever, the Igamane was on the park, he had this ability, just this almost telepathic ability to find Cyriel Dessers. It was great. They were linking up fantastic. Just the end product wasn't quite what we're looking for. Ever. Igamane, I'm sure he got the ball through to Cyriel Dessers. And he goes through. It was the kind of right-hand side for a corner of the box, getting towards the 6-yard box. Now, the centre-half was kind of pressuring him, but he really had a fairly clean strike at goal and just put it past the post. That's unfortunate. Mohamed Salah get booked for thumping Diamandi in the 11th minute, so you're thinking that's good. He puts himself about. Salah, that's his thing. Hopefully he's going to get sent off soon, and it was getting a bit tempestuous. It was certainly a very physical, energetic game, end-to-end stuff already. Dessers was through again, quarter of an hour, headed through by Diamandi this time. No one tracking him properly. This is the other side of the goal, the kind of left-hand side of the box, a slight angle. But it's a save. It's a save by Trevor Carson in the Dundee goal. But you think should do better there. Should big Cyriel. Aaron, I love Celtic Donnelly. He was doing long throws from the main stand side, and they were carrying in the wind. This is for Dundee, raining balls on our box. Anytime we put the ball out for a corner, a shy, anytime we put the ball anywhere, basically on the park, Dundee were just lobbing the ball from their shies. Shaughnessy was in the Dundee Derry side, just throwing the ball straight into our box. It was getting a bit pressury, and in the 19th minute, they went 2-0 up. Dundee, Shaughnessy scores for Dundee. I think it was the fella Donnelly was in the main stand side, and he lobs the ball into our box, throws the ball into our box, and at the second time of asking, we managed to clear it just outside the box, and Dessers is overlapping Igamane just outside our box, and Igamane's like, I'm just going to nod it on to Dessers, so that's my job tonight. I am going to play Dessers in. And as he nods it on, and Dessers is away, running through, but he's kind of forgetting that he's only 2 yards outside our box. Dundee cut out the ball to Dessers, and then they lob the ball just into our box, and it's kind of like just over the top, straightforward wee lob, a wee kind of hopeful thing, you would think. And it's maybe 16 yards, something that it bounces, but we're simultaneously playing Dundee completely onside, but also totally vacating our box. It's quite a hard thing to do. And it's Shaughnessy. He's following the thing through, lets it take a bounce. He heads it down. You're supposed to head it downwards, but it's a pretty naff header. He has pretty weak ass thing, and there's resplendent in his salmon pink. Jack Butland just kind of falls like he's want to fall on top of it, but it hasn't hit, and he's letting it bounce in front of him, and he's got the arms out like the ball's going to bounce into his bit and catch it, but he doesn't catch it. Bounces off his chest, and it comes down. Then Simon Murray is, because Simon Murray is just the nemesis. It was just buy him, just buy him. How much more does he have to do to us before we? And he volleys the ball kind of straight at Butland, because he can't really help it because he's so on top of Butland. There's nobody else helping Butland, although he shouldn't need help in this situation. So it comes back out, and Shaughnessy's got himself corrected from his poor header this time, and he just goes in and slots it in at the back post. It's an absolute calamity for Jack Butland, and this time John Souttar is playing. My theory was that he can't play when he has his terrible games when John Souttar's not in front of him. He was fantastic against Fenerbahce, penalty heroics. Jack Butland has a few other decent saves across the two ties against the two games in the tie against Fenerbahce. Hero in the penalty shootout. The last time he's played football was an assist for the winner for Rangers at Parkhead. That's pretty major, and it's just straight back to thinking this is never going to end. He's just going to keep. It's when he's making mistakes. I suppose that's the thing with goalkeepers, but it's just really, really bad basic mistakes. After the kind of heroics makes you think he's turned the corner. This time Souttar is in front of him, but we're 2 down again. We're losing 2 straight goals in a game. That's so far so standard. It's just, this is what's been happening. Motherwell at Ibrox, as I say, is the outlier. And we lost 2 straight goals, went 2-0 down in that game as well to the opposition, but we only pulled 1 goal back. And that's that is actually the weirdest result in terms of the way it's gone under Barry's management, or maybe it's a 3-1 win in Istanbul, I don't know, but it's corners and long throws. Donnelly and Shaughnessy giving us an absolute nightmare. Yilmaz gets fouled at the 24th minute, according to the ref anyway. It's a foul. I've not watched it back, but I feel it's a bit debatable, and Dundee just put the ball straight in the net. I mean, they take the ball off him just kind of, I don't know, 10 yards outside our box, and it's a bit like the finish we're going to see later on from Tom Lawrence. They just take the ball, they go past and slam it straight into the far side of the net, and it looks like it's 3-0 to Dundee, but it gets ruled out. The ref did blow instantly for a foul, but there seems to be a massive space between our centre half, between our defence and Jack Butland, and if we get breached at any point in our defence, they are. And then at the 30th minute, I think the biggest thing that happened in the game, the sun goes down behind the Bobby Cox stand. No, wait a minute. There's a solar eclipse or a lunar eclipse the day. Where is the lunar eclipse when we need it? We need it. No, it's the low. It's the last night of the year that the sun's going to set at this time. The clocks are going back like hours later after this game gets taken place. And I'm sure it's the sun is getting in the players' eyes, because after the sun goes down, after the sun sets behind, it's not technically gone down. Well, more of that later. But once the sun goes down, that's Rangers win the game 4-1. So I think it's the sun is Catholic. I think we established that. We established that tonight. That's why they call it paradise, because it's always sunny there. You know, dour Presbyterians be like it dull. 37 minutes is a long throw from us. The Derry side at Dens Park, up at Dundee, corner flag, almost a corner. You know, right up to us. the Dundee end, and within that, Simon Murray wins the ball. A very educated, cultured punt up the park. Adeyemi is through, and it's a last-ditch tackle by Sterling, and it's a corner to Dundee. Just nothing we're doing. Even when we're getting the ball basically on the Dundee goal line, it's ending up with Rangers absolutely struggling at the back. It's not going well at all. Ian Crocker says Dundee have kept the one clean sheet all season, and we've only failed to score in one game under Barry versus Fenerbahce. So you're thinking things should kind of change here. There's no guarantee of that. There's only so many times we can go 2 goals down and keep retrieving it. Igamane is a shot from outside the box about the 41st minute. Carson parries for a corner, then he makes a great save for Dessers from that corner as a header. He's about 10 yards out there, so it's kind of penalty spot stuff. He heads the ball down, and it is a good save, and Murray was behind Carson just in case, but it should be getting put away. He's going to have done in the 43rd minute. We pull a goal back. Dundee kick the ball out, and it's kind of returned instantly by Dujon Sterling from deep in his own half, and he's just trying to. It's not a very good clearance or attacking shot by an attempt to set up an attack by Dujon Sterling. It's just supposed to kind of trundle over the half. It trundles over the halfway line because people keep missing the ball. But it ends up getting back to Diamandi, and he oversteps it. But he keeps his body the right side of the ball, and he gets fouled. But it's the fact that Diamandi then gets up instantly, almost like knocking Nico Raskin out the way, and he just feeds the ball straight to Connor Barron towards the right hand side, who just channels it straight to Tav, who floats a beautiful ball towards the back post area. And this is where we start to realise how we've got to appreciate Cyriel Dessers. This has been the most Cyriel Dessers game in history tonight. Cyriel Dessers is making a run to the back post, and if Tav picks him out of the back post, he should score. And even the fact he's already had a couple of really bad misses, hitting the ball straight at the goalkeeper, is in Dundee's head. They know where he's going to be. They know he is going to keep running at them. They know he's going to keep running the channels. He's going to keep doing his duty as a striker, getting in the right position. They know Tav can put in a good ball. Maybe it's just a case. Maybe I'm overcooking it. Shaughnessy scoops the ball, centre half. He tries to clear the ball desperately, and he scoops it right in such a way that it goes right over himself and over Carson and into the far top corner of the net. Or it loops down into the net anyway, and it's an own goal, and we've pulled one back just before half time. But I think the presence of Dessers and the fact they know he keeps making these runs has probably panicked the Dundee defence a little bit. Yet again, Tav. I think it's about 3 times this season. There's somebody else he did it against. Maybe on Tay's side as well. He did it against St Johnstone. He doesn't get the. That was Hadji that put the ball in. Didn't get the assist when we beat St Johnstone 1-0. It was Tav that was pressuring Jason Holt. So Tav doesn't get the goal, but he's not going to get the assist here, I think, because it was an own goal. But it was That was good, and you think, oh, okay, maybe we're going to turn this thing around. There was a speed of thought from Diamandi, I think, that really got that going. Igaman's always managing to find Dessers. He's making space for himself, Igaman. I thought he did really well that night against Kilmarnock at Rugby Park as well, but people were saying, oh, he's not scoring the goal, so he's going to get dropped and all that. I thought he was excellent again tonight. So Igaman again, 2 minutes after the goal, puts puts Dessers clean through again. The middle of the goal this time, he has to kind of slide as he finishes it, but once again, it's straight at Carson. Lord Carson says no to home rule. Dessers again, the 47th minute, we can't even get to half time, and this time it's an Old Trafford type take it. A lovely ball. I'm sure it's going to be from Igamane, the ball played forward to him, but it's the way he takes the ball and turns. It's the kind of Old Trafford mixed with Dennis Bergkamp against Newcastle at St James's. That take and turn where he's kind of behind and in front of the centre half at the same time and spins round as he spins the ball back round to himself. It's a beautiful, beautiful bit of creativity to put him through on goal so he can again hit it straight at Trevor Carson at half time. Bailey Rice and Yanis Hadji come on for Balogun and Connor Barron, and we're going to a flat back four. Again, I don't know. Watching it on television, the whole thing's so chaotic. Such a chaotic game and such a congested pitch, really, for the entire game. Is it a 4-3-3? Is it a 4-4-2? Is it a 4-4-1-1? Is it a 4-3-1-2? I don't know. It's Igamane and Dessers still seem to be the main kind of attacking link up front. Diamandi is maybe going and sitting in a 10 position in there, but I'm not going to. Don't quote me on that at all. In fact, somebody let me know what the hell was going on. But all I know is we went to the flat back four. After that, we took off Balogun. We've only got the two centre halves. 46th minute, Igamane drags a 20-yard shot wide of the goal. 48th minute, Igamane again making great space for others. He's just this lovely thing of taking the ball and keeping it mobile and making everybody else, the whole pitch, kind of pivot round about him as he just seems to be on his own. He's a cracking player. Mulligan for Dundee sends a ball to our back post and Tiffany misses from 3 yards out. He should have put it away. Dundee should have been 3-1 up at that point in time. 50th minute, Bailey Rice, maybe a bit of trouble getting up to the pace of the game. He gets caught in possession just outside his box. Another Dundee shot on goal, saved by Butland. And then just straight after that, it's a lovely flowing move. I think Butland rolls the ball out to Tav. Down the right hand side, Tav goes. He feeds it into Raskin, and then Raskin is a beautiful ball, kind of 1-2. With Igamane and Dessers, ends up with Cyriel rounding the keeper. He goes round Carson this time, takes it round him and cuts it in from the angle, and he goes away celebrating among the detritus, the crisp packets, the pie tin foil, the plastic bottles, lots of bottle. VAR, it's offside, so we haven't scored at all. He's just the ball from Igamane through to Dessers. Dessers, I think it's the fold of his sock that's offside, but it is offside, so that's it. It doesn't count. We're still 2-1 down. What a ball from Tav, deep in the right hand side, around about 56th minute. It's no. I think it's inside right channel almost. Tav. He's coming forward with more and more effect now. James Tavernier, and he floats this beautiful ball over to the far post, and Dessers goes up Derek Johnson style. He's got two centre halves kind of on him, but he's out jumped to two of them. So for that, he shouldn't be heading it over. He just heads it straight over. He should be getting a bit of purchase on it. He should be directing it, even knocking the ball back towards the far corner. That's what I would have done. Very good, Alec. But it's a bad miss. It's another bad miss, and he's becoming a thing. It's becoming a thing. Dessers is continually making chances. He's there as his teammates make chances, but it's because they know he's going to be there. He's making the right runs. He's in the right place at the right time. He just can't put it away, and we are getting beat. And the second half is going on. 57th minute, there is a break for Ramadan, basically. The iftar, I think, is a breaking of the fast. So I don't know if that's when officially the sun goes down. I'm sorry, my ignorance here. I'm not know exactly how it works, but it's quite different. Something different. I think it's maybe about 2 minutes long. The break. You realise at the time there's quite a few Muslim players in each team, so they really need this. The boys have been going all day without any water. They're not taking on any liquids either, as well as the food. Is it dates? It seems little packeted stuff. I don't know if that's part of the tradition. It's only dates they can have, or this was just a small kind of food thing they were taking on that's got lots of energy. And it was energy bars. Maybe energy bars were getting taken as well. But excuse my ignorance there, but it was quite a thing. The thing is, my heart sank because there was booing going on. There's booing, but I think it was soon followed. It was coming to Dundee Derry, and it was soon followed by, you're not Rangers anymore. So I think it's just probably the Rangers fans, the Dundee fans having a bit of bants back at each other because of the break in play. But it was, that was quite a thing. It's weird, isn't it? It's weird. Foreign stuff. It's not very British. But have you been in Britain? It's kind of run by Muslims. You wouldn't be able to eat if it wasn't for Muslim folk. And like Christmas, where we'd eat for 40 days consecutively. I think it's a better option for me to take part in Ramadan. But 59th minute, the game resumes. Hadji's got a shot from the outside the box, just goes over the bar on the hour mark. Dundee turn us over down the left-hand side. Adewumi hits the outside of the post. Suter tries to bring the ball out. He started doing this. He starts bringing the ball out to the halfway line, gets dispossessed. Tackle doesn't amount to anything at that point in time. Yilmaz goes off on the hour mark, and Yilmaz goes off. Igamane goes off, and then Dio all goes off within like a kind of quarter of an hour. And I wonder if that is, a bit of travelling for a couple of them when it comes to the international stuff during the week. But I also wonder if these are Islamic players, and I wonder if it's Ramadan is having an effect on their stamina or whatever. So that's why these substitutions are getting made, particularly in the case of Igamane going off. You're thinking he's been so creative, why would he go? But extra knack. He's been to Africa and back during the week. Hamza Igamane, same as Diamande. So a lot of travelling as well. But the first of the subs within the second half, it's Ridvan Yilmaz goes off, and Hefty comes on. Suter brings it out again. He gets caught. Adewumi. It's caught by who's a shot. It's caught by So it's Adewumi goes through on goal because of the mistake for Suter, and Jack Butland catches him. It just fouls him just outside the box as Adewumi puts the ball over the bar. But luckily, there's no repercussions for Jack Butland. He kicks the ball out. It gets returned. Diamande tries to return the ball. He ends up hitting it to Silla, who punts it forward. John Suter goes through Adewumi, but Adewumi gets the touch onto it. It's actually a bad interception by John Suter, who's no having a good 5 or 10 minutes. Simon Murray, and he gets it to Tiffany. Tiffany dances to the right of the box. He's outside the box. He's still kind of edge of the box stuff, Scott Tiffany, and it's a fantastic shot that he clips right across our goal, right across Jack Butland into the opposite corner of the net. It's a fantastic finish, a lovely goal from Dundee's point of view, an absolute nightmare from our point of view, and now we're hoping for a draw at Dens. Oh, 1 each, 0-0. That was terrible. Let's get away from these draws at Dens Park. I'd kill you to get a draw at Dens Park now. St Mirren destroyed Kilmarnock today, who are third bottom, so Dundee second bottom, just a point behind Kilmarnock. I think they're kind of inspired by that. I saw the way they played against Dundee United in the Dundee derby when they beat Dundee United 4-2 at Tannadice. Their first win at Tannadice for 21 years. They were fantastic in that game, very energetic. So this was maybe in the works already. It's just the way Dundee are starting to play now, but they also had something to go for. Whereas maybe for us, it's just keep the European thing going. We're concentrating on that really, and it's going back to we've been away for a fortnight. A lot of the players internationally, and they're starting to remember the Clement ways, and back we come. And all we're thinking, it's no incentive to stop Celtic winning the league a game earlier. Kind of thing. I don't know. It wasn't happening at all. We're 3-1 down. It's absolutely desperate as Igamane goes off for Danilo. Seems a bit harsh, maybe. Danilo's not been getting a game recently. I remember him coming on. I was talking with Big Phil about that in the comments section of my last pod. But I remember Danilo coming on. I think he'd come back from his injury the time he got his face cracked, scoring a goal against St Johnstone at McDermott. I think maybe Dundee at Dens was his first start since then. And he come back that night and he was great. I think he scored a goal. He should have scored a couple. He was really good. But Danilo comes on at Dens for what looks like a bit of a cameo. Just notice the empty stands. Dundee, it's when you get 3-1 down to Dundee. I don't mean disrespect, but Dens Park, the away stands rammed. The wee away section we've got in the main stand, absolutely rammed. But the home sections, they're desolate. Good noise coming from the Dundee Derry. I don't know how busy that was because the cameras are in there. They're in the roof space there. You can't see it in the telly. It all sounds really noisy because the microphones are right above it. But we're taking as many fans to Dundee as Dundee have at their home ground, despite having won their first Dundee derby away from home in 21 years, and their last out, and they're second bottom of the league still, but it's stuff like that. It just comes home. It just comes home to how poorly we're playing in these games. We're 3-1 down. Then Diamandi goes off for Lawrence. Tom Lawrence comes on, and Ian Crocker tells us he's only ever scored one goal away from home, Tom Lawrence, and that was against Dundee United earlier in this season when we come back from an international break. At this point in time, I have to mention another legend of the Fatic feedback. It's Robert Carmichael, because Robert Carmichael mentioned to me today the Dundee game as we're coming back after an international break and we don't do well. I'd temporarily forgotten about that. Beating Celtic at Parkhead, pitting Fenerbahce shooting penalties, and even Fenerbahce beat us at home 2-0 the week we didn't have a game the previous weekend because of the Scottish Cup, which were handily were already out. So even that is followed up. We all just remember the glory of winning the penalties, but we've had a wee break that weekend and we've lost our next game at home 2-0. I mean, I think the only game we'd won after an international break this season was when Tom Lawrence scored the only goal of the game early on at Tannadice, and that was a bit of a... It wasn't much of a game. It was a bit kind of nervy, that one. So he's coming on the park. What can he do? It's a goal straight away. Lawrence gives the ball to Danilo. He gives it to Tav, and Tav just whaps that thing from well outside the box right into the corner of the net. Just a typical Tav goal. Boom. Absolute classic. He's 130th Rangers goal. He'll get nothing like the praise he deserves for it, probably, but it was just fantastic. So that makes it sound like I think there's a conspiracy against Tav. Tav's a kind of... It seems to be folk either love him or hate him, whatever. He shouldn't be... it shouldn't be the case that he's never criticised, but I sometimes feel he doesn't get the praise he deserves. But I think the people who don't praise him, who don't like him, feel he gets too much praise. I just don't think you can argue. Amazing stats, phenomenal. A defender, he's 130th Rangers goal, and it's an absolute peach again. And there's barely any celebration because it's just getting us back into the game. It's all business. Danilo gets fouled, 77th minute, just inside the Dundee box. I think could that be a penalty? Dundee have won a corner up the other end. In the meantime, it's no penalty. Tav gets that cleared eventually. 81st minute. He only scores at Ibrox in the city of Dundee. Tom Lawrence, Danilo kind of takes a beautiful take and turn for Danilo. The ball's coming down out the air. He takes it, he turns, and he's doing the same kind of job as Igamane. Danilo, so it's good to see. He lays it off to Raskin. It's a lovely cross field it's just kind of cross the kind of middle of the midfield, this ball for Raskin, but it's instant, and he's shown a bit of the class that he must have displayed for Belgium during the week, Nico Raskin. And in comes Lawrence. He just takes it forward a bit towards the edge of the D, and he hits a lovely kind of it's floating just, but it's not a daisy cut. It's more kind of daffodil cutter, kind of Easter themed shot. It's maybe about a yard off the top of the ground, and it just, as Carson sees it going past him, it just goes and takes a wee cheeky wee bounce, just as it gets level with Carson before it goes into the far corner of the net. Right footed shot over to the left hand side of the goal as Tom Lawrence is looking at it. Beautiful. That's it. It's 3 each, and again, there's not really much celebration. It's business. It's like Lawrence himself is immediately telling everybody, right, let's get this recycled, let's get back to the centre spot and get this game going again, because a draw is no good to us, which is, it's what we expect of Rangers, but it's also good to see. I think there's been times where they've maybe been satisfied with a point. We've come from 2 goals down, that's fantastic, but not a bit of it. Rangers are trying to win this game. You see Barry on the touchline. He's looking quite Simon Jordan today, Barry, and he's got the kind of jacket on, the suit jacket on with the zip up kind of crew neck thing underneath it because it's a bit blustery, but he's got the wee pocket square, and he's in the hanky pocket there, and he's celebrating that goal. The replay, Barry celebrating the goal, and the massive Dens Park touchline, and the jacket goes up, just the tail of it flips up at the back, and you can just see the lining. The lining's the same. It perfectly matches the handkerchief. It's royal blue. 2 Dundee corners not cleared very effectively in the kind of 83rd minute. We're trying to stop Celtic winning the league a game earlier, but more than that, we're trying to win. We're just trying to win. We're trying to keep it a bit save face, really. We keep conceding these stupid goals, playing terribly defensively. There's no even a sense, really, that we can guarantee ourselves a draw because it's been so end-to-end and we're so unreliable at the back, even though it's 3 each way, 7 minutes to go. We know there's going to be a bit of injury time as well. It still feels as if the game is up for grabs, and it really was. Dessers goes down the right on the break. two players to aim for in the box, and he floats a lovely ball into nobody. He misses both the players right across the far side of the box, but then it just seems like a second later, he's in the very spot that his ball was meant for, from that cross, and he's having a shot from the angle against Carson, who parries it across the face of the goal. It just feels like we're just setting ourselves up for a Dundee glory moment. We're not going to. We just keep getting enough goals to make it more spectacular for Dundee when they eventually win the game. Hadji can't quite find Dessers at the back post. Dessers comes sliding in, another ball across the box. Remember the 87th minute, 89th minute. Simon Murray floats a ball into our box, and there is nobody. There's a one Dundee player, and the ball doesn't get to him. I don't know who the Dundee player is who's gone in, Adewumi, whatever, who's gone in on our goal. Simon Murray just misses by a yard or so, but there is nobody, absolutely no Rangers white-shirted defenders anywhere near this guy. Our box is completely empty of everybody except Jack Butland. It's a rather concerning moment. 5 minutes of injury time goes up. You think that sounds absolutely right. So there's plenty that's going to happen here. I'm listening to James McFadden constantly telling Ian Crocker there's going to be more goals, and I can't disagree with him at all. We win a corner on the 90th minute in the main stand side, the tunnel side. This where the tunnel is, just right in front of the tunnel. No, it used to just be a ramp. That classic. It's the wee bit of fencing each side of it, a tiny wee tunnel, a bit like Rugby Park, real old school stuff, proper Victorian stuff, Edwardian more likely, and it's right up the away end of the main stand. I think it's the same. Is it the same at? It used to be the same at East End Park. East End, Neil Lennon's taken over at Dunfermline just now. The only time I've ever seen Nottingham Forest, winners of the European Cup in 1979, 1980, so I had to see them at some point. I've been to City Ground during Euro 96 to see Portugal beating Turkey. But I went to East End Park one night because Dunfermline were playing Nottingham Forest in a pre-season friendly. And Neil Lennon had just signed for Nottingham Forest. And at half-time he went off in the new tunnel they've got at East End Park, because they've built new stands at each end of East End Park. You remember when it used to be a terrace and around the three sides it was in the main stand. But I'm sure the tunnel used to be in the main stand. I'm sure that when Kenny Dalglish signed for Liverpool, one of the first things I ever remember seeing on the Celtic fans out there listening to this, when Kenny Dalglish signed for Celtic for Liverpool, I'm sure there's a picture on the front of the Daily Record. I remember my dad having it the next day, just buying the record, me looking at it. It was Jock Stein stood behind Kenny Dalglish, playing for Celtic as Kenny Dalglish come down onto the park. I don't know if it was definitely summertime. I think it was 77 Dalglish signed for Liverpool to replace Kevin Keegan. So maybe beginning the 77-78 season with Celtic playing a game at, I'm sure it was East End Park, and it's still there, the steps in front of the enclosure, the wee enclosure that in the main stand at East End Park. They eventually put little seats in there, little red kind of bucket seats at that East End Park enclosure of their old main stand. I'm sure that's where the tunnel used to be. Used to be a wee door that would come through, and I'm sure there was a picture on the front of the Daily Record of Ken Dalglish going down onto the park for maybe a League Cup sectional game against Dunfermline or an actual pre-season friendly or something. And Jock Stein is standing. Jock Stein, who used to be Dunfermline manager, won the Scottish Cup with them, beating Celtic in the final. He's standing. He's kind of back up against the wall, the enclosure, a bit like the enclosure at Dens Park. It's kind of odd shape now, and they've got the seats in it, and the seats don't fit. They kind of fritter away. They tail off towards the home end of the main stand. I used to stand in the enclosure at Dens Park. I stood there once watching Rangers draw 0-0, I think, up at Dens Park. And it was just so low. When you further forward you went in that enclosure, the worse your view got. You felt you were below ground, even right up the back against the stand. Anyway, sorry, I don't know why I'm whittling on about this. I just need to take a break from the insane action here. But they've put these little. That's what it was. That it was a ramp thing at Dens Park, coming out the tunnel, and there's all the pictures you see at Dundee through the years. I've got a couple of books behind me there, and you can tell straight away that's Dens Park because of the tunnel, and there's little fences, metal fence each side of the ramp. Beautiful thing. Only room for one team to come down it at a time, but they've turned it into steps recently. And they've put the little bits of green AstroTurf on top of the steps, better for the boots and all that. Better for the studs come down the boot. But it looks like it was a reminder. We're drawing 3 each. We're taking this corner for the main stand side, and I just saw it behind whoever's taking the corner in the kind of semi-dark there at Dens, and it was just the bits of dank, must be damp astroturf on top of these steps. Just maybe I think that the epitome of Rangers' troubles away from home against lesser lights of the Scottish top flight. It just looked like the rugby park astroturf, and here it was at Dens Park. It's an absolute nightmare. It's quite good when it won the game to just remember how depressed you actually were watching the stuff. But whatever happened for the corner, the referee blocked our move from the corner and blew for a drop ball to Dundee. And that was the end. That was the end of that. It was reminiscent at this point in time. I was thinking this is going to be like the 5-8 straw at Easter Road under Jimmy Nicholl. And great for the neutral, but who cares about the neutral? I want Alan McLaren. We need Alan McLaren. This just needs to be routine. This just needs to be done and won. It should never have got to this. 92nd minute, Simon Murray hits the post. Simon Murray hits our post. 93rd minute, Cyriel Chats wins the game. As it kind of falls, Tav, right hand side, just lofts a beautiful cultured ball up there. And Cyriel said in his post-match interview that he thinks that the wind did catch that. And it just took over the defender's head. He's always chatting away at his opponents, Cyriel Chats. He's obviously a really down-to-earth guy. Always chatting about his opponents. I think he named the Dundee defender. I think it was Robertson that maybe actually ends up getting a flick on as he's trying to clear it. But I think the wind has maybe caught it. I'd like to think it's Tav. It's a ball of perfection, but he flicks the ball on. And Cyriel Chats, as the ball is dropping at the sky, he's running onto it. He's running on, and he's running out of space, and he takes it in his chest. Anybody else is going to let that thing take a bounce, but he's running out of space. He's running out of pitch. And it's a really acute angle. He's on the right-hand side of the post, basically head towards the actual corner of the 6-yard box. And as he's running out of pitch, Trevor Carson, the big light blue figure of Trevor Carson, is coming out. His nemesis is coming out and just blocking him. And so he doesn't let it take a bounce. It comes off his chest and he lets it come down onto his foot. And it's a sublime finish. It's the clip dink. The clip dink, it's not, when I say it goes over Carson's leg, when he puts it over the keeper, technically he does, but it's more like he just judges the dive of the keeper, and it's as the dive is fading, as Trevor Carson is suddenly running out of body, the ball just carries on at the same height as Cyriel Chats tried to catch it, and because it's been all about catching the ball just to direct it, it just rolls over the line. And he goes behind the goals and he takes the adulation for the second time at that end tonight. But this time it counts. And 22 shots on target from Rangers tonight. Cyriel Chats had, I think, half of them, 22 goals he's had for the season. 22 goals he got for his last season. The big man just kept going. It's the most Cyriel Chats thing of all time. The most Cyriel Chats game ever. Miss after miss after miss, but yet he's in the positions, he is leading the line, he's given us something to aim at all the time, he's got under the skin of the Dundee defence, or the opposition defence, and eventually you could have put your hat on it. Again, he's going to score the winner in his 100th game for Rangers, but another 2 minutes of injury time, and I genuinely was thinking that this is just a chance for Dundee to have all the glory when they make it 4 each, but they added another 2 minutes of injury time on top of the 5 minutes of injury time. And it was just so Chats could have another couple of shots at Carson. He's got those 2 shots in the first quarter of an hour against Trevor Carson that he should have done better with them both. But one past the post, Carson saves the other one. And he's got 2 shots in the space of 5 seconds in like the 97th minute of the game. Just to, even though he's almost just, I don't want that goal I scored against Carson to distract you from the main story of tonight. And Carson gets another couple of saves in the space of about 5-10 seconds against Cyriel Chats. But that's it. The final whistle eventually goes. Barry's delighted. I am super relieved. And Clement drew twice with Dundee at Dens Park. He did beat them. He beat them 5-0 as well, and then 2 disastrous draws against them. And this tonight was like a combination of all 3 of Clement's games, all rolled into one. Everything we went through in those games, scoring lots of goals, looking lots of shite. But Barry seems to have done all that in one game. We've got Hibs at home next Saturday, and we don't even have a game midweek, so there's still a lot to be sorted. It doesn't suit us that just not having games, as Robert was saying, is in the comment section today under my last pod, under the preview pod, it just doesn't suit Rangers to have any time off at all. Remember we finished 8th in the group in the Europa League, the home victory over Union St Gilloise. Clement's up there in the gantry, triumphant. Was it Ali McCoy and Derek McKinnon? I can't remember who was up there, but he's chatting away with the TNT team, giving it, I'm still going to make them come in during the week. And is it the next game we played? We get beat off Queen's Park? Is that the next game? Oh, the next game was we beat St Johnstone. I might be a temporary abeyance, but it was beat off Queen's Park, and I think with the whole week off, and we lose to St Mirren and he's away. It's just not having midweek games because of the skipping the playoff round, post group playoff round. That actually we didn't have games during the week, and we were just getting worse and worse each weekend under Clement, and it cost him his job. And there we've gone away for an international break, and we've come back and we've conceded 3 goals, but we have won the game, and it's Barry's just left with character. That's what he's talking about in his post-match presser. Alan McLaren type character. Barry, his post-match interview was a bit, not weird, it's very good, but I think when it got towards the end of it, I think he's really keen to keep the momentum, to keep the positivity going. But it came out a bit like he was saying, I am doing a great job. I think what he's trying to say is it's forward going, there's a story being written here. This team, they keep winning, they keep getting the result that we're looking for. He did say that maybe there's something he's got to do now because the team have gone away and all the old habits have come back. I think it was something about old habits he was saying in his actual press conference. But on Sky, I think it's true. It does look like they've all gone away. A lot of the key players have gone on international duty, and they've forgot that Philippe Clement is not the manager anymore, and they've come back and get into the same habit. But we had been winning away from home under Clement. I think we'd started winning away from home. It's a weird thing. It's kind of, there's a change, but it's Clement did beat Celtic last time he played them. Last time Clement was manager against Celtic, and the 3-each draw at Hampden in the League Cup final. We lost on penalties, but he was getting their number in Old Firm games, but he couldn't do the business away from home domestic. But then he started doing that. He beat Dundee United at Tannadice, the winner scored by Cyriel Chats. He beats Hearts at Tynecastle the game after we lose to Queen's Park, and it's not, but we win by a couple of goals, even though we get played off the park for a lot of that game. But we win 3-1, and then it's over to Barry, and he wins at Rugby Park. We were 2-0 doing that night, and then we win at Parkhead, even though we conceded 2 goals there. But we win. It's things are changing, but they aren't changing that greatly. It's Philippe Clement never won in the management of any club, including ourselves against Benfica last season. He never won a post-group stage tie in Europe. So Barry's come in and done that for him almost, but it's weird. What I'm trying to say is I think Clement was getting to the stage where he was going to win at Parkhead as well, but there's no way of proving that. But it was funny tonight, funny, strange, and also quite slightly amusing because we just won the game. But Luke Shanley of Sky, using the euphemistic phrase, do you think Rangers would have lost that game 4 or 5 weeks ago? He means, would Philippe Clement have lost that game tonight? And Barry goes, aye, definitely. And I think Barry's trying to say, he's just looking for a positive to keep the momentum positive. You've got to keep talking things up. He has taken over a kind of crisis situation, Barry, so he's not expected to instantly solve everything. If he can drag wins out of this team, he's winning in terms of his interim management. But I feel as if it just come across as if he was saying, Clement would have lost that, I've won it. That's not what he meant, I don't think, but it came across like that. And he was also talking about the shape. I've kept the same shape, but I've been forced to change the shape at half time because of these players going back to their old habits. Whereas I think, well, Barry, maybe you should have changed the shape, but you shouldn't have started with that shape at all. Maybe you've got that wrong there. I'm not criticising, but I think he's been absolutely fantastic in the job. But I think it's a wee thing tonight. It's really strange to say because we've won 5 straight away games now domestically. We're into the quarterfinals of European competition. Barry's a cracking win against Celtic at Parkhead, which just lit up all our blue lives. But it was weird tonight. I just felt as if there's a kind of slight step backwards, even though we're claiming we'd have lost that game under Clement. Clement was already winning games away from home in the league, which we didn't play particularly brilliantly in, the same as tonight, so maybe not as much has changed as we think. Cyriel Dessers, he can't even get the bleep in the right place when he's kind of self-censoring himself in his post-match interview. He's trying to say the whole thing. It's like, what was it he tried to say? Trevor Carson was being a bit of a. He tried. He was being a bit of a bleep in my ass. Oh no, wait a minute. He's a bit of a pain in my bleep. Sorry, mate. It's like, sorry. He's a bit of a see you next cunt day. I mean, see you next Tuesday. He's a bit of a see you next Tuesday. That was quite nice. It just summed up his night. He got there eventually. 1992, 1993, August. We lost 4-3 at Dens Park. We lost 4-3 at Dens Park, and I think it was August 1992, and we didn't lose another game until, well, it was 44 games. It was the middle of March. The following year, we went on a 44-game unbeaten run, incorporating a run to the penultimate stage of the Champions League, goal away from the European Cup final, the Champions League finals that had become known that season. We lost 4-3 at Dens Park, and we didn't lose another game until we lost on the 20th of March 1993 at Parkhead against Celtic. So maybe there's a wee twisting of it here. We've won 4-3 at Dens Park, and our previous game was a 3-2 win at Parkhead against Celtic that season. We didn't get past the semi-finals of Europe this season. We won't get to the semi-finals. We're going to get humped. But I'm sorry, we're going to get to the European final, whatever. But it's quite. I felt as if 4-3 at Dens Park. That rings a bell. Anyway, folks, I think that'll do us now. The Manics did end up. Steve Lamacq, the Manics did end up becoming the world famous Manic Street Preachers. Steve Lamacq is a household name, a legend of journalism and DJing. Richie Edwards became a cult like he wanted to, and Rangers have beaten the international break and Dens Park Dark Blues, haven't we? I came out of Morrison's the other night once I got a chicken and I just got some eggs. No, I forgot the eggs. That's what it was. I supposed to, because we only had 4 left, and that'll do us all the weekend. But I don't want to have to go. Monday, I want to have eggs Monday morning. I don't want to have to go to the shops tomorrow. No, so it's a bit. I didn't get the eggs and that, but I put on the radio as I was driving. I thought I'm not going to go all the way along to Clevedon to turn up Clevedon the night because the traffic's absolutely murder, and it's nice going up the inside lane, because at tea time the traffic's really it's the rush hour, but that means I've got to go up Dorchester, take the kind of long route around Dorchester, and there's these potholes. They're like kind of axle wide, these potholes. There's no way of avoiding going down a hole and that thing unless you go right across this. It's this roundabout. It's been there for years, but it feels like it's only been there for a wee while. It's got the big round kind of white painted round. There's a flat roundabout, and there's these new flats, relatively new flats they built. They begin in Dorchester if you're coming for the Great Western Road side. So I don't want to go right across. I keep the habit of going right across the middle of the roundabout in case somebody thinks I'm going to turn right or whatever and they just crash into us. But it's these potholes are like Grand Canyons. So I was going to have to go that way. But I put the radio on anyway, just as I was heading for that roundabout, and to distract me from it, was still on BBC Radio 6 Music, and it still come up with this Hugh Stevens was the name. It was a guy, Hugh Stevens, it says on the radio thing. Hugh Stevens, Steve Lamacq, and it was this band that were playing. I thought, I recognise that. That is the Kings. It wasn't Kings Elite. It wasn't the National either. It was just some other new modern band. They all sound the same. I tee them, dumb can't seem dumb questions. All virgins listen. All virgins are liars, honey, but the sex is on fire. And so was that game. Brown bins, folk. It's a brown bin for me tomorrow, and that's the easiest one. That's the one that's never. I could actually miss taking out the bin for to pick up tomorrow because it's a brown bin. It's the food bin. I don't miss it. I look like there's a lot of food goes spare in my house. No, it all gets taken up. So we can chillax. Doesn't even matter if it doesn't go. It will last another month. The space I've got in the old food bin, and I will talk to you sometime during the week to properly deconstruct everything that happened today and have a wee look forward to Hibs at Ibrox. Enjoy your Sunday, folks.